Make sure you guys smash that subscribe button if you guys are fans of the content being posted onto this channel to always be in the loop with more content similar to this, and be sure to hit the video up with a like if you're enjoying the content. And with that being said, let's begin. Ever since the conclusion of Jeepers Creepers 3, especially going into its ending which alluded to a Jeepers Creepers 4 movie, many fans within the horror community have often been wondering and speculating as to if this would be a good idea for Jeepers Creepers 4 to actually be a thing, despite Victor Salva being behind the project or not. As we discussed on the previous video involving Jeepers Creepers 4, on that video we pretty much touched the basis on why Jeepers Creepers 4 could end up being a success if Victor Salva's name is removed from the franchise. But let's say in theory, if they did push through in actually creating a Jeepers Creepers 4 movie under the Victor Salva umbrella, then what exactly could that mean for the Jeepers Creepers franchise going forward, especially with having to tell its conclusive narrative in further involving the Creeper and its previous victims, to where one of the primaries actually is none other than Trish Jenner. Now, by the end of Jeepers Creepers 3, it's already established that Trish Jenner wants to go out and rally as many people as she could that were either affected by the Creeper or that have any sort of experience with this thing, in gathering as many people as she could to go on the hunt to find and permanently put this thing down. Now, let's say in theory, if this were to happen going into Jeepers Creepers 4, number one, I think that Jeepers Creepers 4, if it were to be a movie, needs to be the final movie within the franchise, thus selling the rights over to a different company, a company with a much higher budget. That way they could ultimately end up rebooting and remaking this thing under a new umbrella that's outside of Victor Salva's control, because while Victor Salva has possession of this franchise is pretty much dead and in the water because of his actions that he had done many years ago. But with Jeepers Creepers 4, I would argue in making this the last movie within the franchise, because by having Trish Jenner gather and rally as many people as she could only to confront and battle against the Creeper, do I only believe that by the end of it all, the Creeper needs to be the one to walk away victorious. Now, one of the many reasons why I say this is because we've seen the history of the Creeper in the comics, we've seen the history of the Creeper in the movies, and with his overall motives and his agenda and the way he just consumes body parts to regrow the ones that he was originally missing, it's pretty difficult to kill something that could easily regenerate by absorbing a similar body part to the one it just lost. So I think that Trish Jenner and all of the people that she ends up gathering should be able to have a significant impact to where they could hurt the Creeper, they could really damage the Creeper to the point where the Creeper had never felt pain like this before. This could be the first time that the Creeper is legitimately trying to survive. It's no longer a predator versus prey kind of thing, because the roles here would ultimately be reversed in the Creeper having to be hunted by the humans. But even then, I think that by the end, with Trish Jenner having to confirm to have a son named Derry, named after her brother that the Creeper had taken before, I think that by the end of this, the story needs to be to where the Creeper wins, the monster wins. All of Trish Jenner's efforts, her collective unity with people that have been affected, her money, everything just goes to waste, because right before she was actually able to do something to put the Creeper down, there is a switch, right? Something ends up happening to where the Creeper gets the upper hand, and that's the end of Trish Jenner, and thus concluding the franchise for good, because so as long as the title of Jeepers Creepers is held under the Salva umbrella, then this franchise isn't really going to see the light of day because of his previous actions and convictions of what he had done based on his criminal record. So I think that going forward, if they were to make another movie, number one, with a much bigger and better increase in budget, they need to really answer all of the questions that have been lingering within the community for arguably decades now, almost 2 decades, and going forward into the third film now, we really didn't get any answers other than the fact that the people of the town that the Creeper was in basically know his secret. But then again, what is the Creeper's secret, right? In the comics, we understand that the Creeper comes from an ancient time, whereas in the movies it's established that this thing could be a person, it could be a demon, it could be an ancient creature, an ancient god. We don't really know definitively because this is Victor's baby and this is Victor's story. So needless to say, I think that by having Trish Jenner's character, Gina Phillips, actually have a major return, and for this to be adapted in a different way, we could ultimately see a Jeepers Creepers 4 movie, which could lead to a definitive finale and then ultimately be turned into a TV show if of course the rights end up being bought, for the producers and new directors to pump new life into this. Because if you're watching this video right now, you can agree with me in saying that the creeper, the monster in this film, is a very unique and interesting creature, because we've seen the Jasons, we've seen the Michaels, we've seen the Freddys, we've seen the ghost faces, but this is a little different in the fact that this kind of creature could pose a big threat to anything it comes across given its overall nature. So by having more of a lore be established behind this following this movie, if it ends up being a thing, would be the absolute best thing they could end up doing if of course Jeepers Creepers 4 is either made and later concluding, or thus dropping the thing entirely and then rebooting everything from scratch. But even then the story would go incomplete in the fact that Jeepers Creepers 3 doesn't really answer any questions. If anything, it leaves the door wide open for so many endless possibilities. So I believe that with Gina Phillips now having to return, I solemnly do believe that what they need to do is give that character a conclusive story and further allowing her to do the best that she could do within her efforts to take the creeper down. But by the end, I think that the creeper should walk away victorious, in the idea that you simply can't kill this thing with bullets or any other meaningless way. It's going to require so much more, and I think that the character of Gina ought to present that opening factor. But then ultimately I think that Jeepers Creepers 4 needs to end, in which we are going to be doing a separate video discussing the pros and the cons to having a remake or a reboot, because the overall concept works in the fact that you have this creature go out and about in this rural area, picking people apart, knowing the fact that it could smell the fear coming from you, which attracts it towards you even more, as we've seen in the original movie, as we've seen in Jeepers Creepers 2, and as we've even seen go down in the comics. So I think that with this adaptation, it would really work well if we had a bigger studio with a bigger budget work behind the film in giving us the wholesome and definitive movie that we've been wanting ever since the beginning, which is why I also think that Gina Phillips should have a very barbaric battle against the creeper, because in Jeepers Creepers 3, we really didn't get to see much from Jonathan Brecht's character. We didn't really get to see much from the creeper. He wasn't as violent per se as we've seen in the first and second movie. So Jeepers Creepers 3 felt so flat. The concept idea, whether or not you like the movie itself or the original concept script of Jeepers Creepers 3 Cathedral, but either way, Jeepers Creepers 3 just felt so flat because it was poorly executed. They didn't really have any substance behind anything that was going on. So with Jeepers Creepers 4, they need to change that, and I think that by having everyone target the creeper in a very violent kind of way, shooting at him, trying to decapitate him, trying to dismember his limbs, they need to try to do what they can to put the creeper down. At the same time, the creeper also, while sustaining damage, needs to take what he had done from the first movie, and that's, let's say for an example, if Gina Phillips somehow cuts off the creeper's left arm, what the creeper needs to do is pick apart one of the members that Gina had brought along and consume his left arm for him to grow it back. So whatever kind of damage the creeper takes, he needs to consume, I think, those body parts for him to get back in this fight, because if you look at the overall pragmatics of what could be from Jeepers Creepers 4, this could make for one of the best movies within the entry, but I doubt that because of what's going on with Victor Salva, and I doubt that based on the overall backlash of fans having to resent what we've seen from Jeepers Creepers 3, but that doesn't change the fact that we could, hence the word could, get a good product if of course two things happen. Number one, there's enough support, and number two, if there is a massive shift in direction, because we're not going to be getting anything else if there is no fan support and if there is no shift in direction. Without that, we're basically going to have nothing. However, in the end, I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below about the possible chance of seeing the creeper fight against Gina Phillips at least one more time in this massive battle that could take place, with Gina having to bring along as many people as she can just to take this thing down. Or do you guys think that perhaps maybe we're never going to see this because there's never going to be a Jeepers Creepers 4, on top of what you guys want to see. So also in the comment section below, if there were any ideas that you feel like would be very pragmatic for the overall series, what would you guys want to see in a hypothetical Jeepers Creepers 4 movie in terms of having a final battle, in terms of lore building, in terms of character development, in terms of overall background and landscaping? Where would you guys want this to take place? And I think that with the Jeepers Creepers franchise, as I've said before, if Victor Salva were to relinquish and sell the property rights for the overall franchise to another company where they can just build on this and expand this, I think that this franchise has hope. But so as long as Victor Salva is in control, then unfortunately enough, we're not going to be getting much. But I want to know if you guys believe that this is going to change as time goes on. So again, thank you all so much for your time. If of course you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, turn on all notifications, tune back in for more, slap this video up with a big fat thumbs up by hitting that like button down below if you guys simply love Jeepers Creepers. If you guys want to check up on more Jeepers Creepers content, I have that playlist located down in the description box below. Thank you all once again, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody. Peace!